Do not buy a house in these 5 states in 2026. That's the headline. But before we go any further, let me make one thing very clear. This is not Warren Buffett pointing to these states. This is the Capstone's independent investigation, built using the same risk avoidance principles Buffett repeats in every interview. Avoid structural danger, avoid unpredictable markets, and never buy an asset where the downside is permanent. And right now, 5 American states are quietly becoming everything Buffett warns against. Some because nature is turning against them, some because policy is suffocating the middle class, and some because home prices have drifted so far from reality that the correction isn't a question of if, but when. Let's start with the most urgent danger zone. State number 1, Florida. Florida looks like a dream from the outside. Beaches, sunshine, booming cities. But underneath all of that is the biggest red flag in real estate today: insurance. In 2025 alone, insurance premiums in the state jumped an estimated 30 to 45%. Multiple major insurers have pulled out entirely. Citizens Property Insurance, the insurer of last resort, ballooned to more than 1.3 million policies. Some coastal homeowners are now paying $6,000 to $12,000 per year just for basic coverage. Warren Buffett's rule is simple. If a business requires a miracle to survive, walk away. Florida's housing market now requires a miracle. One major hurricane could wipe out multiple insurers overnight, and the cost of that collapse gets pushed onto homeowners. When insurance becomes unpredictable, home values follow, and they fall down. A house in Florida is no longer just a home. It is a financial risk with annual costs no buyer control, and that violates every principle of risk Buffett believes in. State number 2, Arizona. Arizona was built on the belief that growth could continue forever, but all of that growth depended on one thing: water. And in 2026, water is turning into Arizona's greatest structural risk. The Colorado River has been pushed to repeated shortages. Lake Mead has hovered near historic lows. Groundwater studies forced the state to restrict new development in parts of Maricopa County in 2025, unless developers could prove they had outside water sources. Buffett always says, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked. In Arizona, the tide is water itself. Banks are already adjusting. Higher lending standards, higher risk premiums, lower loan volume. That leads to slower growth, then price stagnation, then correction. Arizona is not becoming unlivable, but mathematically it is becoming unpredictable, and investors hate unpredictability. Water scarcity doesn't crash a housing market in one moment. It slowly erodes it over many years, and erosion is still destruction. State number 3, California. California is the most powerful economic engine in America: tech, entertainment, global trade. But power alone doesn't guarantee affordability. Property taxes are capped by Proposition 13, but the real burden comes from everything layered on top: state income tax, supplemental taxes, Melrose fees, and most importantly, extremely high home valuations. In 2025, major metro median prices still ranged from $900,000 to more than $1.2 million. Meanwhile, outmigration reached hundreds of thousands over the past several years. Buffett always warns that when people have better alternatives, they take them. Californians are taking those alternatives: Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Idaho, Texas. But California's danger is not a dramatic collapse. It is a slow bleed. People hesitate to buy. People hesitate to sell because they don't want to lose their low tax basis. Inventory becomes distorted. Liquidity dies. A market that is expensive to enter, expensive to own, and expensive to exit violates the fundamental principle of investing. You must be able to sell when you need to, and California makes that harder every year. State number 4, Texas. Texas advertises itself as the affordable, pro-business alternative to California, and in many ways it is. But there is a catch. Texas does not have a state income tax, and the price you pay for that is some of the highest property taxes in America. In 2025, many Texas counties carried effective property tax rates between 1.6 and 2.3%. In cities like Dallas, Austin, and Houston, it is normal for homeowners to pay $8,000 to $15,000 per year in taxes alone. Buffett says never buy a business that needs everything to go right. Buying in Texas requires everything to go right. Your income must keep rising. Your assessments must stay manageable. Your job must remain stable in an economy heavily linked to tech cycles and oil cycles. Texas is not collapsing, but its affordability advantage is disappearing. Prices up, taxes up, wages struggling to keep pace. When the carrying cost of a home becomes unpredictable, the value becomes unstable. Now we get to state number 5, the one nobody wants to talk about because it breaks the belief that tech markets are invincible. Washington, specifically the Seattle metro. For more than a decade, Seattle's housing market was powered by Amazon, Microsoft, cloud computing, and an endless stream of high-income hires. The result was a hyper-inflated real estate ecosystem. But in 2024 and 2025, the foundation began to wobble. Tech layoffs hit tens of thousands. Hiring freezes became common. Remote work reduced pressure on close-in housing. And for the first time in many years, price growth stalled across multiple zip codes. By late 2025, Seattle condos showed early signs of oversupply. Rent growth slowed dramatically. Median home prices flattened. And here's the deeper problem. The entire region is economically over-concentrated in a single industry, tech. When tech earnings rise, real estate rises. When tech earnings fall, real estate falls. And homeowners cannot control that cycle. Buffett's philosophy is simple. Do not tie your investment future to forces outside your control. Overconcentration creates fragility, and fragility creates corrections. So let's bring this all together. Florida is collapsing under insurance risk. Arizona is choking on water scarcity. California is suffering a slow tax-driven exodus. Texas is being crushed by property taxes. Washington is inflated by a tech bubble that already shows cracks. 5 states, 5 very different issues, but one unifying truth. Homes don't lose value because of headlines. They lose value because the fundamentals are breaking. Insurance is a fundamental. Water is a fundamental. Taxes are a fundamental. Job diversity is a fundamental. Affordability is a fundamental. Buffett doesn't avoid markets because they look scary. He avoids markets where the core numbers no longer make mathematical sense. And that is the story of these 5 states in 2026. Your mortgage is not the danger. Your interest rate is not the danger. The real danger is the cost of ownership, insurance, taxes, utilities, long-term climate risk, economic concentration. The Capstone conclusion is simple. Only buy where costs are predictable, where risks are measurable, and where long-term growth is diversified. Not trendy markets, not influencer markets, not markets built on hype. Buy where the math works. Buy where the fundamentals are strong. Buy where the downside is limited. That is how Warren Buffett invests, and that is how you survive the housing markets of 2026.